Virginia Roberts has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so I actually want to go to his strategy here, because he foreshadowed this strategy, as we talked about in our first episode together, when he said, that's the bit that I remember, suggesting that there will, in the future, be elements that he does not remember. And so I would suggest here, he's now on his rehearsed piece. He's already strategized. I'm going to say, I don't remember this. I don't recall that. And so I think that's what we're seeing playing out here, is a strategy. What I'm interested in is what can we detect underneath that, because this is rehearsed for him. This is his moment. So I'm wondering from everybody else, how's he doing?
Greg, you want that one?
Yeah, not so well. So number one, he's got that problem of steepling and his hands are in his lap, so he can't go any further down to show that he has been compromised. So he starts to mill his hands and do some wonky thing with his hands. That's energy trying to escape the body. I want to get my rear end out of this chair and out that door, but I can't, so I'm going to try to find a place to go. Right in through here, and it's harder to see in this, but pay very close attention to his pupils. They don't just dilate, they pinpoint again. That is stress. When your eyes start moving, when your actual pupils start to move, that's a really good indicator of stress levels. The last one that I really am paying attention to, not only does he drop his jaw to cover his throat, but his jaw recesses and his upper lip drops. I almost think he looks like he wants to cry for a split second there, that little micro expression.
Looks like a little boy.
He does. He looks like he's on the carpet. Mom has gotten him for doing something, and it's...
Yeah.
He's not doing
right,
so
Chase.
well.
What do you got, Chase?
Yeah, so that pupil dilation, this is a rare thing to see in these video interviews, because this camera is super high def. The angle's really great. And pupil dilation is something you look for only when there's a steady lighting conditions. If the lighting conditions are changing, that's obviously probably due to the lights. So this is a perfect setup. So if you go back and watch this clip, you can see the pupils start changing in size. Another thing you can see from over his shoulder is his breathing rate starting to increase. You can see that shoulder going up and down. And another one, just for this small clip, you can also get his pulse by looking at his legs towards the end. And I think back to what Mark said about this whole thing being rehearsed, that's the reason we're seeing him nod and say, yep, yep, yep. He's saying, I've done that. Yep, I've prepared for this. I've prepared for this. He's nodding in anticipation of the next step of his plan.
Right. Yeah. And so I want to jump in here and just add and reiterate on this. This isn't stress because he wasn't expecting this question.
Right.
This isn't stress because he's going, what am I going to say here? He's got it planned. This is stress about something else. That's what's important.
Scott, here's a place to talk about the thing. This guy, if you think he's stupid, you're stupid, because this guy is brilliant. This is methodical, and he has a process-driven approach. And Scott, I know you can talk more to this. I call it chaff and redirect.
Yeah.
As I'm going to leave so much stuff behind me that you'll chomp at one of those, and the minute you do, I'll take you there. And he is master in this conversation.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great storyteller. That's what makes it so good. He's seen a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of history behind him. He's heard people tell stories. He's got to learn the stories of the history of the royal family. He's got to know all that stuff. So he's been hanging around people who tell stories great. And he's become a great storyteller. Now, there's a guy named Yuri Hassan, and he's at, I think it's Purdue. And he's the guy that did the studies on the brain and storytelling. And what he found was your brain will sync or connect with someone else's brain and hang on as you tell them a story. It happens very quickly. I won't get into the details of the studies he did, but they're fascinating. Yuri Hassan, I believe it's Purdue. So if you want to learn about that, if there's somebody watching wants to learn about that, it's a great thing to check out. So that's what he's doing here. That's why these things, as we know, why stories are good in marketing. They're good in all kinds of things. That's why he puts these almost in story form. As you go along, you'll see them so you can hop from one thing to the other. And like Trump, when Trump, as Greg's pointed out before, when Trump says something and he wants to, that's it. I've said it. There it is. He goes, gets that tag. He's tagging, but it's not tagging, but he's marking those spots where he's completed something, like Mark was saying, by saying or okay, or whatever the words were he was saying. That's exactly what he's doing there. And to Chase's point, when we're talking about micro expressions, we're talking about the dilation. When he gets to the part, she says, talks about Virginia and having when she says against you, when she says you, that's when those they get small and they start getting bigger. His pupils, you can see them get small and then start getting bigger. That's when the big one hits.
Against you. She says she met you against you. She says she met you against you. She says she met you against.
And then at the same time, if you'll notice, and I'll show this when we go back, he's got a lot of nostril flare. It's really small, really small. If we're going to talk about micro expressions, let's get up in its hind and talk about the micro parts. Very small, but I'll show where that happens as well. It's the same thing.
Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made.
On the larger side, when he starts, he does what I refer to as fading facts as he's talking. If you ask somebody a question, did you light the car on fire that caught the house on fire that killed the kid in the house? And they say, well, I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. Usually that time of day we go to the park. And as the more they talk, the quieter it gets. He's showing he's unsure about this answer, and I believe he knows something's up. There's some more information about this girl and him that's going to pop up later. Somewhere. I don't know what. But he knows but he's still taking that chance. He can't say, here's what I know, here's what I did. So we're seeing those fading facts as he's lying, but he's pretending he's telling the truth. But you see it get quieter as he goes along, as he tries to distance himself from that lie. So, all right, anybody else?
Hey, one thing I will add, the last thing, the pupil dilation and pinpoint, when I worked SEER, that was the only place it was common. You don't see that very much in people, because if they're shocked, often their pupils may dilate, and then go back to pinpoint. But really, the pinpoint and opening, that's a rare thing to see, not just Chase in an interview with a camera, but in people in general. You just don't see it often.
It's true.
Chase pointed that out yesterday when we were talking about that, when he gets to the part where he says Virginia, he's like blank. But then when he gets to you, they then start getting zeroing in. I'll show it up close because it's fascinating what's going on in here. And that head is.
Chase, you had the tag on the name, and I think we should talk about that. But that, to me, it's weird to watch them move because you just don't see it that often.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.